In this video, I'm going to give you tips and tricks on how to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, my very first tip is as you discover towns, you will unlock fast travel points that are marked on your map by these blue icons. And you can see here, you can just click the travel to option. If I use this one over here as an example, once this happens, you will see time will pass, you will still get sleepy, you will still need food, and sometimes you will be stopped along the way for various different things like an ambush or even a Riddler who has a special puzzle for you. My next tip is to help you get an easy start into the game. Now from Troskowitz, if you make your way to Zhelizhov, which is to the west, you will see here, if you look at the map and you make your way to this location, you can see there is a thief's camp marked right over here. Now, before going to this campsite, there is a thief over there as well as his dog. His dog is not going to be there in the early hours of the morning. So if you set this to 3 a.m. by doing the time skip and letting the time just pass, but now that it's 3 a.m., you can see the camp's lights is off, which means that he's sleeping and you should turn your torch off and try sneak up. You're going to want to try sneak up to the guy who's sleeping. You'll see he's near the wagon over there. He's sleeping there and his chest is located next to the wagon here. So before you go up to him and you rob him, you're going to have to turn the torch off and sneak up to him, try to see in the dark and just slowly aim around where his crotch is until the rob mechanic shows up. Use the rob mechanic and then don't let this thing go red as you rob him, and you're going to go ahead and grab his keys. You can also grab yourself this dice, which is actually really, really good. And then you can leave the pickpocketing. And now that you have his key, you can go ahead and open up his chest. And inside here is a knight's longsword as well as some decent armor that can help you through the first part of this game. Sometimes you'll find in the game that your quests can be in gray and it might not show the exact location on your minimap anymore to track them. To do this, all you have to do is go into your quest journal, click the quest you want and click the track quest option. This will highlight it in red so that you can actually see it on the map to see where the locations are. Sometimes these will go grayed out when you travel between regions, and it was something that it took me a little bit of time to figure out. You're also able to track multiple quests to get different colors like the red and the green. If you're looking for a nice easy place to make some money in the game legitimately without stealing and selling things the entire time, you can actually head to the northwest of Troskowitz. Right over here, there is a gameskeeper and an archery range at this location. You're going to look for the Huntman's son Vitek and you'll speak to him. And you'll tell him that you want to compete in the shooting contest. You can pick either the longbow or the crossbow. And if it's your first time, I recommend starting with beginners, but if you've used this before, you can go straight to masters. And you can place down a bet in order to win money. Don't worry about having your own bow because he will give you one that you can use during this. When you're aiming, you're just going to aim below the target like this, and then you're going to shoot, and it should always land in the black circle, giving you 5 points. This is generally very easy to do, and it's also a great way to level up your archery. And you'll notice that you win 135 groschen. Even though it took you 45 to enter, you're going to win 90 groschen extra every time you do this. You'll also know that he has a shop that you can trade in so that you can buy your first bow or crossbow if that's what you're looking for, as well as ammunition for them, as well as some food that will last you a really long time. I personally think the sword is the best weapon that you can get in this game. Preferably in my case, I love the short swords. And if you make your way to Takov, where you can meet the blacksmith early on in the game, the blacksmith will actually eventually be able to trade with you. And he actually has a really cool sword. If you go to his trade window, you'll be able to buy yourself this Basilard, which is a sword that is capable of doing 103 damage for only 174. And you can see this is a short sword, which means you can use it really quickly and attack fast. You just need strength and agility at 11 both in order to get the full damage out of it. You're also able to learn the Master Strike with the swords in the game from Master Tomcat, who can be found at the Nomads camp, which is, as you can see here, to the very far west of where Troskowitz is located. So if you make your way to this location, you'll find the Nomads camp and you just go to this area to find Master Tomcat during the day. You'll be able to learn the Master Strike from him eventually, as well as practice fighting with him. You'll even be able to select which weapons of choice that you would like him to fight with, as well as what you would like to fight with. This is both a great way for you to practice how the combat works, as well as, leveling up your swordsman skills so that you can actually do better in the future. It's also a great way to practice your Master Strike, which is a technique that's going to help you so much in the second half of the game. I almost guarantee that when you try out the sword, especially the short sword, you'll probably have the most fun in terms of the combat that you can do. In this game, it's very possible to commit crimes and, get towns angry at you so that they actually try to arrest you on sight and you won't be able to visit them for a while. You'll know that you're not allowed in an area by this symbol, this red symbol at the top of your screen to say that like you're going to be jailed on sight when they see you. And even if you do run away from them, you can always track on the map to see if they're still angry at you. Like if you look at Troskowitz on my map now, it has that red symbol. That means if I go there, the guards are going to try attack or arrest me on sight. Now there's two ways to deal with your crime. If you want to go ahead and get back to normal relationships with Troskowitz, you can either skip 4 in-game days, so you'll have to pass 4 days before they will speak to you like a normal person again. Depending on the severity of your crime, it might be more than 4 days that you have to wait. Or you will have to surrender to one of them and pay the fine and be, like punished for your crimes. If you ever find that your weapon is damaged, a great and easy and free way to repair it is by finding the sharpener. You can find these at most blacksmiths. It looks like this. On the map, it's going to have this icon called the sharpening wheel. And when you interact with this, you pick your sword, the one that has lower durability, and you can repair this all the way up into 100 durability, which also maxes out the damage that it can output. And all you got to do is spin the pedal and kind of tilt the sword and pull your controller stick down or your mouse down until you see a bunch of sparks like this. There shouldn't be smoke. Smoke damages the sword, but if you have this amount of sparks and you do this correctly, you can actually get the sword perfect, and you know it's done when Henry will comment on it and saying okay, cool, the sword is perfect, or say how we just did there. Now in the game, you have both a horse as well as your dog Mutt, assuming that you've done the quest for each. There is a quest on how to get Mutt early on in the game. That will be in your quest log. And in order to get your horse, you're going to make your way to Sameen. You'll see here at the bottom left of the Troski region, there is a horse trader here where you'll find your horse payables for the first time that you can pay for or kind of use your speech skills to kind of get it for free. Now, once you have your horse, you can use this special command. It's like if I go to my settings and my key bindings and I scroll down, you'll see it's under the movement tab called companion control. On PC, it's X. I'm not sure what it is on controller, so check here. Now, when you hit this key once, you will see that your horse will teleport nearby and run to you, and you can go ahead and mount up and use it to run wherever you go. However, if you want your dog to appear by you, you're just going to hold in that same key and it will teleport to me immediately. But right now I'm in Troski, so the dog doesn't teleport across the worlds. It only teleports in each region. Now, if you want to sell things and make money, there is a way to get more money out of traders. Now, in Troskowitz, there is a trader that looks like this. Anytime you see this marker, it is the icon of a trader, and they're usually only available during the daytime. You're going to go up to the shop. And when you speak with the trader and go into his trade window, you'll see that this trader only has a limited amount of money, in this case, 378 groschen. If I go to the sell tab at the top of the screen here and I, for example, sell something, if I, for example, go to this golden crucifix that I have and I sell this, you will see that even though I'm selling it for 389, I'm only going to get 378 from selling it. Now, their money does reset every single in-game day. But a neat little trick is that if you buy something from the store first, like for example, if you need savior schnapps, we can go ahead and buy 3 of these. We can also buy the hunting sword, for example. I'm just trying to buy some expensive things like his wondrous pouch. If I go ahead and I buy these, you'll see that he now actually has all that money that you spent buying the stuff that you might have needed. Now he has 615, which means now that you can sell items of higher value to make more money from them. If you're looking for another trader in the Troski region, check out the Nomads camp at the left-hand side of the map. There is another trader here, located right at this spot here. I think she actually sets up her store during the day over here where I'm aiming on my cursor, but right now it's showing her down here. Now, you'll often find that when you murder a bunch of bandits and you take all their stuff, this is a very quick way to get over encumbered that might make your character a little heavy, especially early on in the game when your carry weight is still quite low. You should know that your horse has an inventory of its own. In your inventory tab, if you use the very final one over here, horse, you can actually see your horse is able to carry things for you with its own carry weight limit. So at the beginning of the game, you can actually make the function of using your inventory to send things to your horse over here, move to horse, so that you can grab them later at a trader when you want to go ahead and sell the items. Just make sure that you don't over encumber your horse as well, because otherwise your horse will not actually move and it won't let you fast travel with it either. Now, as you're leveling up in the game, you might not know, but you actually unlock perk points for your skills that you level up. For example, you have a main level that goes up as you're doing quests in the game. You also have strength, agility, vitality, and speech. You also have your skill tab here for unique skills, such as drinking. Combat for like if you're using swords a lot, which you can see here, mine's maxed out at level 30. The maximum is 30. But my point being is every so often you will unlock the ability to unlock a perk. And you'll see underneath each of these skills, you actually have the option of choosing one of many different options that can change up the game and make it so much easier as you progress further into the game. Another tip is about shops. You should know that shops are mostly locked during the early morning. You can see here, if it says lockpick easy, that means the shopkeeper is not in here. And if you get in there, it's going to be illegal. So the best way to do this is actually going to around 9 o'clock. Around 9 o'clock, or actually just before 9, is when these shops will actually open. So that is how you know that you can go in here safely to do any trading. If you ever find yourself needing food, a great and easy way to do so is by going to a butcher so that you can buy some meats, or even just hunting animals yourself, which is possible in the game. It might just take a little bit of practice with the bow and require some perks. Now, the butcher, for some reason, is only open at just past 10 a.m. in the morning. Anytime before that, they're still closed. And here you'll see you'll be able to buy various different types of food. In this case, I'll just buy some beef and I'll show you the difference between the different ways you can cook this. Now, if we look at our food in our inventory and we use the item info panel on the left, we can see here this raw beef will give us 19 nourishment, but we can actually change this as well as how long it lasts. Raw meat is only going to last 1 in-game day, which is not a very long time. That means this meat is going to be useless by the next in-game day. Now, there are 3 ways to prepare food. The first one is to cook it. Now, instead of stealing from the pot, like which I thought you always had to do at the beginning of the game, you will see every campfire or like pot fire always has a pan around it where you can interact with it and cook an item. And in this case, I'll select 1 beef and we'll cook just 1 of these. If we look at cooked beef, you'll see that our nourishment has gone up to 26, but every time we eat a cooked beef, it's going to make our energy go down by 2, and also cooked beef lasts 2 days instead of just 1 day. In the case of campfires like these, you will just cook on the pot that is on the ground right over here. The second way to prepare food can actually be found at the inn over here. You'll find these around the world a lot of the time. This is where you can smoke the food. The icon on the map is going to look like this, and it's going to be labeled as a smokehouse. All you have to do is put the food in just like you did with the cooking. We're going to do it with 1 to show you the differences. Now, when you smoke beef, you'll notice that the nourishment is 25 instead of the cooked beef's 26, but you'll see that its durability is 5 in-game days instead of the cooked beef's 2 and the raw beef's 1 day. And if we go from this smokehouse, from this inn over here, and we go into this room located over here, you might have to lockpick it, but you're allowed inside once you go in. There is a drying rack. You'll notice that a bunch of houses have these. They're usually locked behind closed doors, and you'll see this is what it looks like. It's called a drying rack. When I go ahead and I dry some beef, you'll see what the stats are for this. Now, when we look at the stats of dried beef, you can see its nourishment goes only to 20, but its durability is infinite. It does not go off. It just doesn't go off. It's infinite. So if you want food that never goes off, always dry it. So keep that in mind as you play the game. All right, so let's talk about save game files. Now, there are multiple ways to save. The quickest and easiest is if you hit the escape menu, you can save and quit, and it will make a save game from this exact moment. Alternatively, you can always use potions, the savior schnapps, or the weak savior schnapps in order to save the game immediately. If I drink this, for example, it's going to save my game right now. And if I go to my load game here, you can find it is actually marked by this yellow color because this is where I drank the savior schnapps. And also, surprisingly, this game saves a bunch of your save files. You can see here, like I've got over 525 save files, and I can scroll back a decent amount to quests that I did ages ago in order to like replay from that point, which is fantastic. And I can actually go straight back to the beginning of the game if I wanted to. Now the game will also save as you reach checkpoint quests. So when you pick up a new quest, it saves. When you reach a major checkpoint in a quest, it saves. When you finish a quest, your game saves. So oftentimes if you feel like you've done a quest wrong, or you've upset an NPC, or you've missed an item that you could have stolen, you can always go back, load your game, and try it again. That's actually how I've been making guides. Now in the game, you can get such a thing as belts. Belts are actually pretty cool, and they come in 4 different qualities. And the reason why you want belts is so that you can have multiple weapons. Like I have a sword, I have a crossbow, I have a gun, I have a normal bow, all at once without actually having to go in my inventory and equip them. I can have them all equipped at entirely one time. And the way that you equip these is you just go to the weapon, you click attach to belt, and then you use the change slot icons over here to change which slot you want that weapon to be in. Now I'm wearing a noble's belt, which allows me to carry 4 weapons and is the highest quality of belt. A knight's belt allows you to carry 3, and you can get a belt that carries 2 weapons at the trader in Troskowitz. When you speak to him, you can trade, and you'll see here he sells the hunter's belt, which is going to give you 2 weapon slots so that you can carry a sword and a bow, for example. Now, as you're traveling the roads in the game, you'll often discover bird nests all around in various different locations. It's like very often, and you're probably wondering like, how do you interact with them? Now, quite simply, the quickest and easiest way is to actually go into stealth mode. And if you look up in the tree, you can find the bird's nest. It looks like this over here. And if I just throw G and I throw a stone, you just have to figure out how it aims. You can actually knock the nest down and actually loot the nest. And oftentimes it's going to have lockpicks inside of them, as well as some other cool little like gimmicky things. I mean, it's a great way to get lockpicks for free. I'm not going to lie. Now let's talk about how to heal when you have taken damage. You can see your health bar limits your stamina bar at the same time. Now it's actually really simple to heal, and all you need to do is actually sleep. That is like the quickest and easiest solution, is to sleep. The more comfortable you sleep in, for example, if you sleep in a bed, you will heal more. But if you sleep in like a weird abandoned camp like this, which I should mention there are tons of these, camp by the road. You can even see around Troskowitz, there is an abandoned camp over here. Then there's one over here. There's one over here. You can often find these camps alongside the road in many places. And if you go ahead and you attempt to sleep in these, you'll see that the more hours you sleep heals more of your HP, as well as giving you energy, which is the bed icon for, just energy. Also, often in the story, for example, at the very beginning at Takov, you actually get a bed from the blacksmith, which is marked by a bed icon. So you know where you can find a bed, where usually your chest, your stash is as well, where you can store stuff that will teleport no matter where your new room is located. This is usually the best bed that you can sleep in, but oftentimes is very far from your location where you currently are. You're also going to want to be careful of sleeping in a bed that is not yours, because oftentimes an NPC will walk into that room eventually and find you there, and you're going to get into trouble for having committed a crime for sleeping in not your bed. So don't sleep in just any old random bed, especially in cities. Rather go find like the tavern where there's an innkeeper. The tavern icons for most towns, you can speak with an innkeeper who will allow you to have the option to spend the night here. And in fact, you can actually unlock this unlimitedly for a longer time. And if you pay for the long term, it's only 50 groschen, which actually isn't so bad. You can also ask them where you should sleep to get some emphasis on where you go. In our case, from this innkeeper, we're actually going to be sleeping right over here in the hay. So right here on the floor, this is where you can sleep and save, and you'll see it will have the same effect as healing you as more hours go by. But of course, is not as good as a real bed. Now, if you're not able to sleep and you really need to heal, the alternative is by making special potions called Marigold Decoction. You can see over here, this one over here is going to heal 20 HP over time if I go ahead and I drink this. So if I drink this right now, it's going to slowly heal my HP bar. For my next tip, I'm going to be talking about how to knock somebody out or to stealth kill. Now, you can only stealth kill somebody when you have a dagger equipped. Now, you won't find a dagger very early on in the game, but one of the quests in the game will actually eventually give you one, so you will come around them eventually. In the second region, you'll find that most weapon stores sell one. Now, in order to do this mechanic, you have to be in crouch mode, and you'll have to sneak up behind an enemy who doesn't suspect you. And when you're behind them, you'll get 2 options. You can either knock them out, or stealth kill them. Both of them are pretty much going to work the same as that. You're going to press the button, and as soon as you see the blue swords icon, you will left click to, knock them out or stealth kill them. Just be careful when you knock them out though, that they'll often remember that you're there, and make sure that nobody's around you when you're doing this. Now I'm going to be talking about why stealth pickpocketing is way better than having to lockpick. Sometimes lockpicking in this game can be incredibly difficult, and locks can get very, very hard. But it's always easier once you have the keys, and the keys are always going to be easier than lockpicking. So in this case, I'm just north of Troskowitz, right over here at this location, above this house here. You might actually want to pay attention. And we're going to skip time to nighttime. Let's go 3 a.m. Remember, 3 a.m., most people sleeping. And you'll find that this guard is still standing here at the edge of this wall. And if we go into sneak mode, we can sneak up behind him. Now, a good tip is to actually check in your inventory for how much noise your character's armor is making. Right now, it's making 100% noise. If I click O to change my outfit, I actually have one here that has this like darker tunic. This brings me down to 12 noise, and also it brings down my conspicuousness a little bit less too. But the noise is our big feature right now. And then we're just going to kind of like walk up to him. You can sneak up to him like this, and we can go ahead and rob this dude. And we can take this opportunity to rob him and do the pickpocketing mechanic before it goes red, and you'll see that we can go ahead and grab the keys. Sometimes you will notice that you might not have enough time and it goes red really quickly. That's fine. You can pop in here, pop out, and immediately go back to robbing him until you have exactly what you need. Remember, you actually need to aim at his sacks of like what he's holding, his pouches, in order to rob him. If you aim at like his head, you won't be able to rob him. Now from this guard's positioning, we can actually go ahead around this building. So just behind us, and we just follow here, and we're going to basically head south. You should see, if I turn on the light quickly, we're going into this little building here. He shouldn't be able to see us from the angle of that wall. And if we go in here, the guard should be standing out there, and we're going to go for a doorway that's right there. So I'm just being like a little bit careful to show you the torch. And you can see that instead of doing a very hard lockpick, we can now open this door for free. Now inside this room, you can actually see there's a chest that you can go ahead and open that has all of the gear of all the guards in the town. So some really cool gear that you can steal. Now you want to be careful with having these items equipped in the town for the next 3 days until this little red hand steal icon is gone, because then they will stop looking for the items, because if they see you wearing it, they're going to know you stole it and they're going to arrest you. You'll also be able to loot the big polearms and glaives over here for, a new weapon type that you might not have seen often early on in the game. My very final tip is actually going to be the one that allows you to find the most things in the world. If you look at my map, you'll see that it's perfectly clear. There's no clouds. And in fact, if I zoom in, you'll see a lot of icons on the map are actually not discovered yet. For example, like this murdered flautist is located over here. Sometimes you can actually find treasure locations. For example, I think there's one over here called Skeleton with Treasure located on the left-hand side of the map that I've never been to before. Now, this is actually a perk that you can unlock that is going to reveal the map and also reveal locations that you haven't discovered yet. Like, I didn't know that Capon's camp is located at the top right of the map here. This is crazy. Now, this is actually going to be under your skills perk over here in scholarship. Now, you unlock this perk at level 18. This is the perk called Explorer. So you'll have to have 18 in scholarship to pick this. And a great way to level up scholarship is honestly by learning and talking to people, learning new things, exploring, and even better is reading books. When you find books, page through them. Go ahead and read them and learn them. This will in turn help you learn scholarship. Now, you're not going to unlock this in the early game, but by the time you're in the second region and you unlock this perk, it's going to be a game breaker. It's going to make it so much easier to find things that you didn't know existed. And also, it's great for exploring. I hope you guys found this guide helpful. If you have any tips of your own to share, feel free to leave them down in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching.